Hey everyone, this is actually be a question and answer video. This will be the very first part. So let's go right down to it. I want to talk about The Rock really quickly first. Now, no one asked me a question about this. I just want to touch on it now very, very quickly. But, um, is he a sellout? Is he not a sellout? This discussion comes up every once in a while. But I think we need to make clear is that The Rock really never wanted to become a wrestler in the first place. He really wanted to be an NFL player. That didn't work out. But, for financial reasons, wasn't getting paid a lot of money playing football in the CFL, the Canadian Football League. So, wrestling was really the only way out. He had connections because of his family, so he got into the business. But I think we need to keep in mind The Rock is not someone that's going to go out there and buy a Ring of Honor show and watch from start to finish. I really don't think he has a passion for just wrestling matches without the entertainment aspect. I think The Rock has a passion for interacting with the fans, cutting promos, coming out to the ring, all the great stuff that makes up professional wrestling, aside from just old school wrestling matches. So I think we need to keep that in mind. And personally, I think it was dumb for The Rock to say he would have chose MMA over pro wrestling, because I think everyone knows the UFC would not have given him the kind of platform that the WWE did, to showcase his mic skills and his connection with the fans. It just wouldn't have happened. And personally, I don't think The Rock would have been successful anyway, as far as just from a competition standpoint. I believe he actually quit amateur wrestling after the first or second day. So that right there told you that. I just don't think it would have worked. I don't think he would have had a very good wins and loss record. I really don't. I think that was kind of immature, not immature, but kind of premature for him to say something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, you got to give him credit though, because he came into the business, made a great impact, and got out. You can't really call him a sellout because he pretty much did everything he had to do. You want to say he could have put over more guys, but whenever The Rock was asked to do the job, he acted very, very professional. I think he really understood the business more so than other guys, even more so than guys like Triple H, to a degree, I would say. But he could do whatever he wants to do. But the one thing I would say is that I really agree with Cena that if don't go around saying that the WWE is my biggest passion. Wrestling is where my heart is at. Like, don't say that if you can't take the time out of your schedule to come back at least once every 2 or 3 years and put on a dream match. The fan. Your fans want to see Rock versus John Cena. They want to see The Rock versus Shawn Michaels. He had the chance just to come back for one big match, and he never really did. So I would agree with Cena. Don't say that WWE and wrestling is it's where your heart is, if it's really not. So I would agree with that. But no, I don't think The Rock's a sellout because he did everything that was asked of him and pretty much accomplished everything in such a short amount of time. So got to give The Rock credit there. I should have brought some water. Damn. Shit, my mouth gets too fucking dry. I don't know what it is. All right, here we go. All right, so let's start with the question and answers. CC Titans fan asked, "Did you ever watch WCW?" Honestly, when I was a kid, I'm talking about early '90s here. I checked it out from time to time. I bought a couple tapes, and I was just very, very turned off from it. I didn't get the same feeling that I got from WCW that I got with the WWF or the WWE at the time. Maybe it's because I was a kid or something like that. I think when I was a kid, it was more about the entertainment aspect, the characters, and WCW didn't do it as well as the WWE did. Now that I'm older, I probably would have appreciated WCW a little bit more. But no, I didn't watch WCW regularly in the '90s. I just didn't. But if I could go back in time, I wish I did, because I think WCW did have the better product during a during a long period of the '90s. I really think they did. Um, so let's move on to the next question. The Wrestling Show asks, if the WWE went away, would any company rise to the national level? In your opinion, would we go back to the territory days? Um, Now, obviously you could make a case that TNA is still on a national level, but if the WWE did go away, I really doubt that TNA would, that the ratings would rise for TNA. I don't think TNA would be any bigger of a name. I think it would pretty much be exactly where it is. I think some hardcore WWE fans might check it out, and maybe some of them might turn to it, but I don't think the difference would be that big. I think we'd see, potentially, I think the territory days, like some of that might come back, down the road, but I don't think it would ever get to exactly like it was in the past. So I would just say that. So yeah, I mean, I don't see anything touching WWE for years to come. I just don't. All right, so he also asked, what's your favorite television show from Nickelodeon in the 90s? I'd actually say Rugrats. I thought Rugrats was from just Nickelodeon. That's pretty much the only one that comes to mind. Um, so yeah. So next up we have Willios 1991. He asked, I hear that Alberto Del Rio is supposed to take Rey Mysterio's spot as the Mexican favorite. Do you think he can? You know, I don't see this guy really being a huge babyface. Actually, I see him more being like a Armando Alejandro Estrada, you know, that type of heel for the time being. Maybe eventually he could cross over. And no, I think I see a lot of The Rock in him. I see a little bit of The Rock in him. Not, you know, I don't think he'll be as big as The Rock or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely see this guy has potential. As far as merchandise goes, can he, you know, outsell Rey Mysterio in the merchandise area? You know, only time will tell. But for the immediate future, I don't see him replacing him as you know, the top draw that the WWE has from Mexico anytime soon. So, but you know, honestly, I need to take more of a look at this guy. But I know guys like Ace Stone are really high on him. So I've seen a little bit of him, but I haven't really seen him work a real match yet. The next question is from Willios 1991. He asked, do you think Bryan Danielson will be the next Chris Benoit from a wrestling point of view in the WWE? Without a doubt, I definitely think the WWE needs, you know, that great technical wrestler, that very, very reliable technical wrestler who could bring the best out of anyone, just like Chris Benoit did, and Bryan Danielson is definitely that guy. In my opinion, I think I like Bryan Danielson a lot better than Chris Benoit. I think he's a little bit more versatile in the ring. I think Benoit had him in the intensity department. I think Benoit's intensity, nobody can match Benoit's intensity, but Danielson, a little bit more athletic. He's better on the mic. I think Danielson is awesome on the mic. You know, when you let Danielson be himself, you know, I don't think there's anyone better, to tell you the truth. But yeah, and as far as, you know, Danielson's success in the WWE, I actually seeing it surpassing Benoit's. I could see Danielson main eventing WrestleMania. I could see him just doing a lot of things, and I think one of the reasons why, I think what kind of hurt Benoit is because he came from WCW, wasn't really Vince's creation. You know, I think the Daniel Bryan character and Bryan Danielson can kind of be reinvented, and Vince could kind of see him, you know, as his own creation. I think that would definitely help Danielson down the road. But yeah, I think Danielson will be, you know, yeah, I mean, you could kind of classify him as, you know, the Benoit of this generation, but I think he could be a lot more. I think actually you could classify Danielson more as like a Kurt Angle eventually, which is, in my opinion, is a little bit of a bigger compliment, because Angle was a little bit more well-rounded than Benoit. All right, so next up, he asked, same guy, Willios 1991. He asked, have you read any wrestling books such as a biography, and if so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I try to read as much as I can. Yeah, I read a lot of the wrestling biographies, and really enjoyed a lot of them. Actually, I love Brett's book, Jericho's book, Angle's book, you know, Foley's book. I really didn't appreciate it. I was kind of young when I read it. I probably would appreciate it a lot more now. But my favorite wrestling books were probably Jericho and Angle's. You know, probably because they're my two favorite wrestlers, or two of my favorite wrestlers. I enjoyed HBK's book as well. But if I had to come down to it, I say Jericho's book was just hilarious. It's just very, very funny. I think the books are better when the WWE doesn't, you know, distribute them. They just seem a little bit more open. But I love Kurt Angle's book too. I think Kurt Angle's book is very, very underrated. I like the fact that he went into the preparation for everything that went into the Olympics, going through the broken neck. All that stuff is really, really interesting. The WWE stuff kind of brought the book down a little bit. I think if Angle gets to write another book, you know, now, you know, it's so much has happened since he wrote his last book. I just think it'd be a lot better now. Him going through the pain addiction, you know, the painkiller addiction, and the broken necks and all that stuff. I just think that book would be awesome now if he comes out with the second part of it. So, yeah. But, yeah, the WWE books, I love them, actually. I really, really enjoy them. So, next up we have, yeah, same guy asked, if Nigel would have went to WWE and Danielson would have went to TNA, would they be in the same position? No, not really. I think Nigel would have been a lot better in the WWE. I think Nigel was off to a great start. I really think Vince Russo, was actually a little bit high on Nigel. I just have that feeling. I'm not sure about that. But, you know, it seemed like Nigel got off to a great start. But then when Bischoff and Hogan came in, you know, just like Christopher Daniels, they would kind of put him on the back burner. But I think if Nigel went to WWE, I think they would have used him a lot better. He would have had William Regal on his side. I think there's actually a little bit more guys on Nigel's side in the WWE, like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and guys like that would have definitely, you know, gave a high recommendation for Nigel McGuinness. So, um, as far as Danielson going to TNA, I think if Bryan Danielson went to TNA, definitely think he'd be lost in the shuffle. It seems to me like TNA only gives a shit about former WWE stars and letting them do their thing, but they don't seem to let the up and coming young independent talent go out there and shine and do their thing anymore. They did it with Joe a little bit, but booking was totally different back in 2005. So I definitely don't think if Bryan Danielson came to the TNA. I just think I think it would have been a disaster. So I really think both guys, in retrospect, I think Nigel and Bryan Danielson, like originally as planned, I think both of them should have went to the WWE. I think it would have been a better move for them. And I think WWE does a better job of kind of branding people than TNA. Obviously, I just think they would have done a better job packaging Nigel McGuinness. I think the whole Desmond Wolfe thing, it wasn't as bad as when he first came to TNA. I was like, wow, Desmond Wolfe, this is an awful name. I think WWE probably would have given him a better name and a better presentation. So, next question from ROH Future Wrestling. He asks, do you think that the Young Bucks being branded the new Hardy Boys is an insult to the Young Bucks, seeing as they are far superior to the Hardys? No, I definitely disagree with that. I think it's a very huge compliment to be compared to the Hardy Boys. They've wrestled in the TLC matches, classics. They're a great tag team. The Hardy Boys used to be awesome. From 1999 to 2007. I mean, it's not an insult at all. I see what you're saying. The Hardys were probably never as flashy as the Young Bucks, and maybe not as reliable as the Young Bucks in just a regular tag team matchup. But no, I disagree with that. It's a huge compliment. The Hardy Boys are legends. And, I would compare, the Hardys do a lot better things than the Young Bucks. They're more of a WWE style of a tag team. But, personally, I would compare the Young Bucks more to the Rockers. I just see that as more of a natural comparison. But I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from, but I definitely would not agree with that. So, it's not an insult at all. I think if you're asking Young Bucks that, I definitely think they would disagree with that. So, all right, next up, the Phenom 88809. He asks, what are your thoughts on Taker possibly facing Sheamus at WrestleMania? Would you rather see him face Sheamus or Cena? No, I do not want to see a Sheamus Undertaker match at WrestleMania. I don't think Sheamus deserves to even be on the WrestleMania card in a singles match, maybe like a battle royal or maybe a 6-man tag, but not a main event type of match at WrestleMania. I think he's awful. He's part of the reason why I really don't watch the WWE as much as I used to, and don't think he deserves that spot. I would rather see Undertaker face Cena. I think Undertaker and Cena needs to happen at a WrestleMania, because if there's one guy that will leave you with that aura of anything could happen against the Undertaker, it's John Cena. WWE wants to push him to the moon. I wouldn't be surprised if Cena wins. We'll see what happens there. I mean, Cena has Taker in the STFU. I'm sure there's a huge possibility that Taker might tap out. I think it'd be awesome. The Cena and Undertaker, they haven't really touched since 2003, so I think it'd be great. All right, Big Rat 310. He actually asked which two guys are contracted with Gabe for Dragon Gate USA and Evolve would be a better fit for Ring of Honor. All right, I should have thought about this one, but our contract with Dragon Gate USA. I think Ring of Honor could definitely use John Moxley. I think they could use more characters. Johnny Gargano as well. I think Ring of Honor needs to look into that. I think Gabe is doing a good job. One of the things that Ring of Honor is missing, and Mr. Narrator talked about this, have the undercard. There's really no personality. Everyone's just gunning for a title shot or a spot in the pick 6. But what Gabe is doing with these guys, they're giving them kind of like little angles to feud over on the undercard. And I really enjoy it. I really think there are some guys that Ring of Honor could use. They just signed Adam Cole. I mean he doesn't have much of a personality. I don't think him going to Ring of Honor is really going to help them as far as the personality department. I'm trying to think of. I mean, one of the Japanese guys aren't going to make that transition. But yeah, I'll probably say John Moxley or Johnny Gargano off the top of my head. I don't see Brad Allen being a good fit for Ring of Honor. I see him just as another BJ Whitmer. I don't think they really need him at this point. That's pretty much it.